I thought I would provide you with some examples of different types of persuasive speeches. Again, we'll go back to the sportsmanship. You know, these are more the titles of your presentations as opposed to your thesis statement. So, should participation awards be given out to athletes, to all athletes? So that speech is going to show your audience why they shouldn't. Organic gardening versus conventional gardening, the benefits and the hazards of each. You have to always be able to show your audience both sides of the story. If you go into a presentation saying, listen, you guys need to switch everything to organic gardening because conventional gardening is bad, they're going to walk away and think, well, why? She didn't tell us why. So it's important to help your audience understand those benefits and hazards. For instance, how harsh chemicals, Roundup, when put onto your gardens, it leaches into your water, so into the soil, which affects your water table. All of those facts are gathered, and that's how you are persuading your audience. And then another very controversial topic is the right to bear arms. You know, is it a constitutional right or is it a danger to society? So these are your topics, these are the areas, these are just a few. So moving on to informative speeches. But before we get any further into this, I just want to be clear with the difference between persuasive speeches as opposed to informative speeches. When you are performing or presenting an informative or a persuasive speech, you're trying to persuade your audience to change something, to believe you, to change their current way of doing something to what you're telling them is better. The difference with informative speeches is you're teaching, you're informing, you're giving specific facts and data. And so you're telling your audience, this is a statement, this is why it's true. So the primary purpose of an informative speech is to promote understanding of a topic or present an idea or a fact. Like persuasive speeches, you need to pick your topic. There are a ton of ideas that you can use for informative speeches. You can look at concepts or problems, ideas or facts, a person, place, or a thing. Any of these topics are issues and items that you can speak on. So for instance, place. So say I want to write an article about traveling to the UP. Well, there again, that's a broad topic. There's a lot of places to go in the UP where you want to hone it into one specific place. So you would take that and say, let's focus on Tequendon Falls. You gather all your data, collect all the facts, photographs of why the Tequendon Falls is a great place to visit and to travel to. A person, you can look at a specific president or a state representative or an actor, Bill Gates, whatever. And so you're giving information on that specific thing. So again, once you've chosen your topic and what you want to write on, you still need to prepare that thesis statement. That's always what you're building your presentation off of. So I decided to write this thesis statement. It's basically telling the audience a fact, what you're trying to convince them to believe, and you're going to provide the information to prove you're right. So a well-prepared research paper is well written in addition to being well established. There are several elements for informative speeches as well. There are two primary types, oral briefings and oral reports. So we'll first talk on oral briefings. First, they present a summary of facts. They promote understanding. They're generally a little shorter in length. You really don't want them to go over 15 minutes. And they are generally more informal. So again, you're presenting a summary of facts. When you go back to my thesis statement on how a well-prepared paper is written, I'm showing you throughout the presentation or the paper what it takes to get there. Promoting understanding so that you can using all of that information, the data that I've gathered and showed you, that's how you use it to promote understanding and to help your audience know how to achieve the goal. And generally informal, typically it's like a one-on-one, like a supervisor with an employee going over like a weekly status meeting or something like that. So oral reports, they're generally a little more formal. They present complete details. They are generally written and oral, And they are typically a little bit longer than your briefings. But again, you don't want to go over 20 minutes. You're going to lose your audience. And the key to reports also is they identify your problem, but offer a solution. And that is key. So an example for this would be a sponsorship proposal. In my job, for all of my events, I have to gather sponsorships. Beaumont Health Systems is one of my primary sponsors. Currently, they have sponsored our farmers market for several years at an X amount of dollars. This year, we have added our Kids Day event to be with the farmers market. Now, what they have sponsored in the past, they are getting way more value for that money. So we're this year asking for a significant amount more. The foot traffic that our Kids Days bring in gives them way more impressions for their booth that they have at the farmers market. So there's a greater value. So presenting the complete details, I'm giving them all the information. I've already given a written report in a PowerPoint presentation, as well as gone and did a presentation to them for this sponsorship package. It was about 18 minutes, and I identified the problem. You're not giving us enough money, and the solution is give us more money so you get more feedback. 3 primary functions to informative speeches is sharing information, shaping perspectives, and setting agendas. So sharing information is obviously clear. That's where I'm telling you, giving you my thesis statement, I'm telling you why, what information I want to give you. Shaping the perspective is while I'm giving you all the data, I'm showing you why this is valid. Setting agendas is a key element in this because now I've given you all the information. Now I'm helping you to set goals to reach the new concept or reach your goals. So a couple examples quickly of informative speeches for oral briefings. Again, they're usually shorter. So like obedience training, how to train your dog, weekly staff meetings, oral reports, again, like I gave you the example of the sponsorship proposal, and then like how to plant garlic. Garlic would be one basic guidance tutorial. A lot of those would be like any type of how to build, raised beds, how to incorporate companion planting in an organic garden, any type of tutorial. You're teaching people something in informative speeches. So, in conclusion, let's wrap up and see what we can take away from tonight's presentation. Persuasive speeches. You're advocating for change in attitudes, behaviors, values. You're analyzing problems and you're offering the solution. You're providing information on both sides of the issue, which I mentioned earlier is very important. You can't let your audience only hear one side of it. You will lose credibility when you do that. And it's always in order to encourage a shift in your action. Informative speeches, we promote understanding and present facts. Facts are the key. 2 types are their oral reports and oral briefings. You're telling your audience something they don't know, hence you're providing information to your audience. And then you're sharing that information, you're shaping perspectives, and you're setting agendas. So in conclusion, you can see that both types of presentations serve a role. When you are determining what you want to present on, that's when you have to take your topic and decide whether it's a persuasive or an informative element. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. Woohoo! Yeah. Thank you. All right.